And yes, we are back once again live here from AWS Sydney Summit, day number 3, Summit day number 2. I'm Dean Samuels, your host for this session, and we are in for an absolutely fantastic session, especially for those developers out here, because on the stage I've got 3 awesome developers. On my far left we have probably the best developer specialist SA I know that lives in Melbourne that has a first name Adam Lata. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dean. That's the best introduction I've had all day.
Right.
It's really awesome to be here. We've had such a fantastic couple of days over at Dev Central. If you're actually watching the live stream, hopefully you've seen a couple of crosses that we've done over there to actually see what's going on. We've got 16 labs with 24 workstations that our customers can get hands-on, play with the labs of some technology they may not have had a chance to play with before. We've got lightning talks. We've got so much information, so many opportunities to talk to solutions architects and other customers about what they're doing on the platform. It's a huge show.
Yeah, the Dev Central and Dev Labs has been absolutely popular over the last few days. And remember, for those of you who can't make it to the conference, online you can actually do the Dev Lab. So our moderators will actually post the link where you can actually run these outside of this event. But of course, the main focus for this session is to talk to these 2 guys that we have here on stage, some super awesome developers from the community. We have Fabian. Fabian, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Fabian Raffen, and I'm a technology director at the Domain Group, where I run some of the backend teams.
Right, and Matt?
Yeah, my name is Matt Fellows, principal consultant at DS Computing. I guess we help customers solve big problems. Right. My role is going kind of deep with customers to solve those big issues. I also picked up a recent role where I'm the product development, I guess heading up product development of products that basically helps you with contract testing called Packflow.
Right, so obviously great, awesome experience amongst the 2 guys here. Why do we bring them on stage? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the AWS Community Developer Warriors program, or otherwise known as Dev Warriors. It's actually the brainchild of Adam Lata, so maybe I'll ask you the first question that I'm sure many people are asking. What is Dev Warriors, and also maybe why? Because we heard on, I think it was yesterday actually, Migsy, our Managing Director for ANZ, was talking about us having, or the community in ANZ having over 50,000 members of various AWS community groups where we're not actually leading or actually contributing in a major way. It's all self-sufficient, self-sustained. You always got big ideas as well. You're a big ideas man, so you obviously want to focus on the right things, and Dev Warriors is a baby of yours.
Yeah, so Dev Warriors, the national program, we've got, just to clarify, we've got 2 programs. The national program is a small set of customers, about 30 or so, that come together once a quarter to talk about the really cool stuff that they're doing, to network together, to actually share ideas about how they're getting the best out of the AWS platform. And they're from the ISV space or the large enterprise, startups, basically across the board. And these 2 gents are part of the national program. And what we found was that there's so much engagement with the rest of the community going on, but what we wanted to do is we wanted to take these lighthouse customers, these awesome developers who've got so much experience on the platform, and get them out into the community. So what we decided to do was to seed a Melbourne and a Sydney community chapter. And Matt is the lead of the Melbourne chapter, and Fabian is the lead of the Sydney chapter. And so what we do is, it's kind of like a meetup. In fact, you can go to www.meetup.com, and if you search for Dev Warriors, might have to put AWS in there, AWS Dev Warriors. It is free to join. We run the meetups every 6 or so weeks, and we have, it's actually run by the community, so I buy the beer and pizza. Am I allowed to say beer? Yeah. I buy the beer and pizza, and the community does the talk. So maybe let's talk to Fabian about the meetups, the most recent meetup we've had. What have we learnt?
Yeah, so we had our first meetup of the year just a few weeks ago, and we had 2 great talks, one about Fargate and another one more on App Mesh. Just really great talks. We've got our next meetup already scheduled for the 23rd of May, so really excited about that, where we will hear from Ian from Kablamo, who's going to talk about console recorder and,
awesome.
And a bunch of stuff. And then we've got another talk in progress as well, but yeah, that's going to have to be a surprise.
It's a secret.
Yeah.
Will it be you?
No, it won't be me.
Yeah, so we've got Ian coming in talking about the console recorder, which, are you familiar with the console recorder? It's an awesome tool for getting the most out of turning your console interactions into CloudFormation or CDK. So really awesome to have him joining us for that, and actually come along and meet him in person.
Awesome. And so if I was a developer coming to your chapter, Matt, what would I be experiencing maybe the first time that I come along?
Yeah, so I mean, the community we're trying to build is really about getting customers together who are using Amazon, going really deep in Amazon, and sharing those lessons and journeys and stories about how they're using those products. And a lot of customers get worried about using new products and how they can integrate it into their workflow or how it's going to change the way they do things. So I guess hearing from other contemporary companies, we have all different sizes, so startups, enterprises in between.
Right.
And working together to see how they can actually fit these new products in, and what kind of problems and challenges they're going to have organizationally and technically, and how they solve those problems. And that's really, really interesting to see.
Right. And I can imagine with a room full of developers, you sometimes have some interesting conversations as well. Can you maybe take us through some of your own experiences, Fabian or Matt, where you've had some of those very interesting conversations and a positive outcome?
Yeah, I think one example I can pick up if I can. Didn't make it. One example is where I think IAG, Shruti was doing a talk on, I guess, how they built their own tool around compliance to, they're a big financial institution, they've got some challenges with sorting that sort of stuff out.
Right.
And they built a tool called Watchman that basically helps them with their compliance processing. And what's great about those kinds of conversations, you get to go quite deep.
Right.
But sometimes you get to presentations and they're sort of a bit more high-level product talks. And the Dev Warrior talk is really about getting down to that next level, getting in the weeds sometimes and going deep.
Yeah, and it's great to hear from organizations and large enterprises and what they're actually doing, and also then sharing it with the wider community. And Adam, so we've got a question from our audience. Kick You Now wants to know, what is some background behind the name Warrior?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, and we have had a lot of conversations inside the group and also inside AWS. So I guess from a translation perspective, it doesn't mean that you're aggressive or angry, and it certainly doesn't mean that we're not being inclusive. What we were trying to say was trailblazers, ambassadors, and it kind of seemed to be the right word at the time, but we definitely, full transparency, I ran a poll at the start of last year with the members and said, what do you think about this? And they actually went out to their colleagues in their workplace, they went out to their the people in their lives, and they asked, what do you think about the name? And the overriding majority was, it doesn't matter. The name doesn't matter.
Right.
But we have had this question asked a lot of times, and we are thinking really carefully about what we call it in the future. There's a lot of words that maybe don't translate very well, so we'll definitely look at that. But it really means trailblazer, somebody who's very deep in the weeds, happy to roll up their sleeves and understand how the platform works and get the most out of it, at the forefront of that journey.
Right.
And we do have the battle scars to prove it as well.
We have the battle scars. Yes.
And so, Fabian, what about in your chapter? I mean, the trailblazers that you've seen come to these community meetups. Can you maybe talk a little bit about some of the experiences you've seen?
Yeah, so we've seen people coming from all sorts of companies, really, and that's what really makes the value of the community chapter as well. We get a lot of different point of views from a lot of people from different companies. And what we tried at the last meetup, and we're definitely gonna try again next time, is during the two talks we were trying to get people to give us one of their challenges and one of their recent wins, I guess, with AWS. And that was great to start those conversations. And like quickly after, you could see once the talks were over, it's well, about this problem that you had, we did solve it this way, and maybe that could help. So definitely big value in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about sharing those experiences, standing on the shoulders of giants as well,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've got another question here from our audience. What's your favorite programming language and why? Maybe start with Adam.
C#.
C#.
Yeah, everyone knows that,
really?
right? Yeah. .NET Core, awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, move on.
All right,
It's not about me.
Yep. Fabian, what about
Well,
yourself?
for me, there would have to be C# as
There
well.
we go.
C#, oh, no.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
That's why we're down this
We
end.
can't be outnumbered you. Come on, Matt.
I'm going to say Golang.
Okay,
I do
Golang.
a lot of work with Node, but as a language, maybe I don't love it so much, but I think Golang's a great language for a number of reasons.
Right. Okay, I'll have to say shell script. I'm an infrastructure guy, so I'll stick with my shell. And so we've only got a couple of minutes left. Obviously, a lot of audience members will be interested in joining the next meetup. So maybe, Matt, can you take us through how people can find out more information and how to sign up? Yeah,
so the next meetup is the 8th of May at the DS offices, actually. I think we've got a reasonable amount of sign-ups already, but head to, as Adam said earlier, head to meetup.com, search for Melbourne Dev Warrior Group, and you'll find us there. We've got a really interesting talk from Dom Buchanan at Culture Amp. He's going to talk about the use of the CDK, which I think is still relatively new to a lot of companies in terms of how you can write your infrastructure with code.
Right.
And they're going to talk about their journey through how that's going to help them move fast into the cloud, and while also being quite compliant with some of the things they need to worry about. So
Awesome.
It's going to be a really interesting talk.
Good. All right, Fabian?
Well, very similar for us, but really what you should do is go to meetup.com and look for the Sydney chapter. There's a bit of competition between the two of us.
Right.
Which one's got the most members? Oh, don't answer that question. Don't
It
answer that
depends
question.
on
All
the
I'm
time,
saying is
really.
Melbourne needs to get on top. Come on, let's go.
Awesome. And so, Adam, what about future plans? You know, in terms of expanding this this idea, obviously it's generated a lot of interest in the community.
Absolutely.
Nationally.
Yeah, look, if there are people in the audience that have interest in becoming part of the Melbourne or Sydney chapter, that's fantastic. But if you've got an idea for a different city, we are open to ideas. We'd love to spawn the community chapter in all the capital cities. It's just a matter of getting the right people in place who are passionate about making this work, getting involved and bringing the community together.
Awesome.
So yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
Email Dean.
Right, sure. All right, well, thank you very much for joining us. Those of you in the audience, hopefully this has been very insightful for you, and making sure to sign up at meetup.com and searching for AWS Dev Warriors. Matt, Fabian, Adam, thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks
Really
for having
appreciate
us.
it.
Cheers.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
And so we'll see you next time.